We're going to dismiss the children to the class. Um, Parents, if you will take your kids back and sign them in, and then after service, you're going to sign them out. If you don't sign them out, then we're going to keep them and sell them on eBay. All right. Well, I was in Salem last week for a couple of days, work, for work. And we had a conference up there. Yeah. And, oh, you probably knew about that, huh? Huh? You had a crew going up? Yeah. It was pretty good. We learned some things. I went to one breakout session where they called it Tribal 101, and they were talking about First Nations people, Native Americans, and it reminded me, of Pastor Dave and Gayleen and Jerusalem Center and how much of a focus, they had on that people group. And it's interesting because the experience I have had through Pastor Dave Gomez and his wife Gayleen as it relates to First Nations people was very different from the information that I received in this Tribal 101. They did talk a lot about, the atrocities and all that kind of stuff. But, at Jerusalem Center, we're looking at things from a spiritual perspective and all of that. And this was more secular. And so there were like some details of different things that had taken place that I was unaware of because we never really addressed them at Jerusalem Center. So it was really interesting. It gave me another perspective and caused me to appreciate First Nations people that much more. They had this PowerPoint, and it was a moving PowerPoint where it showed how gradually First Nations people, their land was taken from them. And I never thought about it like this before. Maybe you guys have, but I haven't. But there were First Nations people, watch this, there was First Nations people from coast to coast, from the eastern coast all the way to, you know what I mean, you could say from New York to California, however you want to look at that. From coast to coast was covered with First Nations people, with Native Americans, right? And they did this map and did this chronological, showing, like time lapse, if you will, starting from like the 1700s and, just decade by decade, century by century, and it shows how, though they were coast to coast, had the whole country covered, right, with First Nations people, it showed these little pockets of where they are now on reservations. And it makes you weep. It really does, right? Because in order to have that many people reduced to, right, then there had to have been some genocide. There's no way around it. There had to have been some genocide. And so it was heartbreaking, and I just had never really thought of it from that perspective, you know, because we talked a lot about, you know, talking leaves and, you know, what was his name? I can't even think of Smith. I can't think of his name now, but anyway, yeah. So anyway, our parents are back. Looks like it. All right. Praise the Lord. So I just want to say welcome one more time for, you know, the first-time visitors, and we hope it's not the last time we see you. You know, we are pretty informal around here. If you haven't picked up on that yet, you know, we like to try to keep it